It's kind of weird to see a running back that we're expecting to get a significant amount of playing time get 14 carries in a preseason game, but that's exactly what was the case for 87th overall pick Damien Harris. But in those 14 carries, he had 80 yards, which is 5.7 yards per carry, and I thought he looked pretty good out there. Not to mention, he also had 4 catches for 23 yards, so he had over 100 yards from scrimmage on the day, which is pretty significant considering the fact that it was just a preseason game. But again, statistics only tell part of the story. You do have to watch a tape to really see how good some of these guys are, and I think Harris is very good. And you can't take too much into the preseason, it is just a preseason after all, but I do think you can watch a tape and see what these guys can do. I mean, if you're an athlete in the preseason, you're still going to be that good of an athlete in the regular season, if not better. So, I do like to look at the preseason to a degree. I don't put too much stock into it and really only like to talk about young players for the most part, but there are still interesting things you will see from breaking down preseason games, and one interesting thing we saw was the fact that he was a pretty good receiving back out there. And not just out of the backfield, I mean, this guy would line up as a receiver and run pretty decent routes. Like, take a look at this one. That's where he is on the top half of the screen, and he's going to be running a curl route. It's a great way to beat man coverage, although it's not going to be man, it's clearly zone, as there's a defensive back lined up against him, so it's probably going to be zone here. If the linebacker who was initially lined up with him followed him to the outside, then it'd probably be man coverage. However, since he didn't, you can feel pretty confident that it is going to be zone. But that's still okay, actually, since the Patriots also have another receiver who's going to be cutting over kind of close to the top half of the screen. This can somewhat create a zone buster and keep Harris open for at least a minute. And as you see, once the ball is snapped, he runs this out very well. That's kind of the advantage of having a running back run a route in a sense, is they can accelerate very quickly. So for these quick routes, it could actually be better than having a receiver out there sometimes. But the problem is, this is not going to be a perfect throw by any means. This throw is going to be a little bit low and a little bit further to the right side of the screen. But watch how Harris is going to make a really good athletic diving catch and make the play. They weren't quite able to get the first down because of the throw. It ends up being a 3rd down and 1. But you'll take that if you're Harris. I mean, make the catch. You'd much prefer a 3rd down and 1 than a 3rd down and 6. So really good play from Harris in my opinion. There's also this play that stood out to me where it's going to be actually play action, and then Harris is just simply going to run out to the flat on the bottom half of the screen, and honestly, this is something Harris will probably have to do a ton of times in the NFL. The Patriots do like to run play action, and of course, after you run the play action, you don't want your halfback to do nothing. You have to sort of have some positive impact on a play, and typically what you'll do is just have your halfback be the checkdown man, which is kind of what they're doing here. And one thing you'll see after this ball is snapped is, first of all, he kind of gets tangled up with that left tackle right there. Which, I would say that's a flaw, but at the same time, the first thing you have to do is sell to play action. So, it's okay to run to the tackle a little bit because you are trying to sell to play action first and foremost. So, not a bad play in my opinion. And it's also not like he ran into the tackle or anything. He just kind of ended up a little bit closed and is not going to have to adjust his route a little bit. So, in my opinion, the benefits of selling to play action far outweigh just him having to move an extra couple of steps on running his route. But anyways, one thing I like about this is once he gets past the line of scrimmage, look at how he's looking back and is ready to make a catch. He's watching his quarterback all the way, and he makes the catch and even makes a man miss before getting brought down, which actually allowed the first down to happen. And again, that's the advantage of having a check down be a halfback, is they can make men miss. I mean, that's definitely part of the reason they drafted Damien Harris. I was kind of scratching my head a little bit as why do the Patriots need another halfback? And the reality is they don't, but if they feel Harris is a very good player, why not take him? I mean, it's a 3rd round pick, so why not? And it is important in my opinion in today's NFL to be able to make catches. I mean, that is definitely a very valuable thing. But also, sometimes just being a running back, you have to take the ball and run it up the middle to try to pick up 1 yard. I mean, that's part of being a running back, especially in this Patriots offense that is very methodical and creates a lot of 3rd down or 4th down and 1 situations. This one is kind of like that. It's actually going to be a 2nd down and 1, but they're still going to have the same idea where they're going to run it up the middle to try to get a first down. And I actually like how the Patriots do this. When it's a 2nd down and 1, a lot of teams will try to take shots, but the Patriots will just run it up the middle and pick up that yard. You might say, why not take a shot deep? But at the end of the day, you got to get the first down, and if you can just run it up the middle and guarantee a first down, why not take it? And of course, it's a lot easier to do that on a 2nd down and 1 when the other team thinks that you might still be passing than on a 3rd down and 1 when it seems a lot more logical that you would actually run the ball. It just makes a lot of sense in my opinion. But anyways, what New England is going to do is have a center have a 1-on-1 matchup with that interior lineman right there. Then they'll have their right guard and right tackle double team the other Titan who's in that area. And so from there, they can just have their tight end on the top half of the screen, just take away that edge rusher, and then what they'll do is they'll have a fullback lead block, and Harris will follow him. And one thing you'll see before this ball is snapped is something you see a lot of times, and that's that the Patriots offensive line did a very good job blocking. Harris could pretty much walk backwards for a first down if you wanted to at this point, but of course, why would you do that? You want to pick up as many yards as possible. One thing you'll notice is that the closest Titan that is in this area is right there, and so for Harris, he could just kind of go get the first down, go down, pick up a yard. You got the first down, you did your job, that's the end of the play. But Belichick didn't hire this guy to just make the easy plays. He hired this guy to pick up as many yards as possible on every play. And watch how he's just going to load his shoulder and basically just deliver a hit, but get a couple more yards on that play. I mean, let's be honest, that only added 2 yards to that run, really. But hey, 2 yards matters. I mean, maybe not on one individual play, but over the course of a game, and definitely over the course of a season, that really does add up. Plus, I think it just shows Harris's mindset of, I'm always going to try to pick up as many yards as possible, no matter what. You know, you want to talk about the Patriots way? Well, that's kind of the Patriots way right there. It's a blue collar, I'm going to run you over if you're in front of me type of mentality. I think it's actually the type of mindset you have to have if you're going to be a successful halfback in the NFL, and it's the mindset that Harris does have. Anyways, let's move on to this play. I actually thought this play was pretty fascinating. The way it's going to work for New England is they're going to have their center and right guard each have one-on-one matchups with those 2 interior linemen right there in the middle. And then what they'll do is actually just have their tight end who's over there, he'll be the one who's blocking the edge rusher as opposed to the right tackle. Because then what they can do is just send their wide receiver out to block somebody, and they can pull their right tackle and fullback over to the top half of the screen, and they can both lead block for Harris. It's a good play concept, I like it a lot, I think it's a very good play to run in this situation, and take a look at what's going to happen once this ball is snapped. If you notice Harris, he's actually going to be cutting a little bit more in here, which might seem like a surprise, but there's a reason for it. Even though there are still 2 Titans in that area who could potentially make a play, there's also going to be another Titan who's right there. So while they are taking that Titan out of the way, he's kind of in the way, and Harris wants to make sure he can get this play done as quick as possible. So instead of continuing to run through the top half of the screen, he is going to break in and try to see if he can get some yards that way. But again, there's 2 Titans who are kind of in that area, so basically he's going to have to choose a direction, either left or right here. He feels like he would rather take his chances accelerating past a defensive tackle than he would accelerating up over to a cornerback. I'm not fully sure it's the correct decision, but it's what he does, and it works. I mean, they get 8 yards on that play. I mean, for some halfbacks, I'm not sure if I would recommend it, but hey, when you have the acceleration, take advantage of it. Really just a very good athletic play from Harris, and that's kind of the real reason the Patriots drafted him, is his acceleration. I mean, his acceleration is just so great. That's what you want to see in halfbacks. Again, I say it all the time because it is true. I care less about your 40 time, and I care more about how quickly do you get up to your top speed. And so again, that's what makes a halfback good. A halfback is the type of guy that you want to just pick up as many yards as possible on each play. If you put a halfback behind a bad offensive line, they're not going to get many yards each play. And if you put a halfback behind a good offensive line, they're going to get a lot more yards on each play. But it's not the halfback's job to pick up the yards that have already been given to you by the offensive line. It's your halfback's job to pick up as many more yards as possible once the blocking already does their part. And sometimes plays aren't going to work out well, and you're going to still have to be able to find ways to gain some positive yards, and this play will be an example of that. Their left tackle and left guard are both going to have one-on-one matchups right there, and they're going to pull the fullback up to lead block, and he'll run basically just in between them. And so it is kind of a tough play, and what you're going to see is that one Patriot actually does lose their one-on-one matchup here, so this hole is going to be a lot smaller than Harris really would have liked it to be. And I mean, if you look as you see, kind of at the last second, the Patriots offensive lineman is going to get pushed to where Harris wanted to be, so he's just not in a great situation here. However, at the same time, he's not in a terrible situation either, because it's not like he's getting wrapped up by a defender, he's just kind of stuck right now. So watch what he does. He's going to kind of just turn backwards and fall for the first down. I mean, hey, I like that. You know, get past the first down, do whatever you have to do, get the yards. Sometimes your offensive line isn't going to do a great job of blocking. Granted, that doesn't happen too often with the Patriots, but it will still happen. And sometimes you'll end up in kind of an awkward situation where you don't know exactly what to do. But you know, as I always say, football is a sloppy sport and things don't break down the way you want them to every single time. This play is kind of another example of finding a way to pick up some yards even though things didn't break down the way you wanted them to. On this play, the way it's going to work is New England is going to have a fullback run over there to the bottom half of the screen, as that's where he'll be lead blocking. And they're also going to pull a right guard over to the bottom half of the screen as well. However, neither of those two guys are really going to be the key to watch on this play. The key player to watch is going to be that Tennessee Titan right there, because he's going to try to just shoot the gap right here and see if he can just create a great play, and he almost does if you see. I mean, the right guard was at the last second kind of able to push him out of the way, but he definitely disrupted this play. So give him a lot of credit, although you also have to give the Patriots right guard a lot of credit too, because he wasn't expecting that to happen, but he was still able to make a play and sort of keep the play alive. And the reason why I kind of didn't break down every single intricate block on this one is just simply because, well, the play broke down. I mean, at this point, it's not working out the way they wanted it to. And so for Harris, he could do a couple of things on this one. He could just continue trying to run through the middle, or he could simply just run to the top half of the screen and pick up a ton of yards. And that's exactly what he does. And again, he has the acceleration to nearly get into the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, he almost had it right there. I mean, that's good awareness, you know, to realize that, oh, hey, on the top half of the screen, there is nobody there, so I'm going to go in that direction and pick up some yards. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Finding Nemo, you know, where there was that crevice and they were debating whether or not they should just try to swim through the crevice or just swim over it. Except this time, instead of there being a bunch of dangerous jellyfish, it's just an easy way to nearly get a touchdown. So, okay, maybe not my best analogy, but, you know, I'm trying here, okay? So, I've talked about a lot already, but there's one thing I do have to bring up with Harris, and that's blocking, and this guy can block well. Like, take a look at this play, for example. Titans are actually going to try Harris here, where what they're going to do is they're going to have their edge rusher basically run right there, and then they'll also have another Titan kind of run over there, in between the center and the left guard. The point of this is that basically the tackle will have to move far out to the bottom half of the screen, and then also the guard will have to make sure that he's blocking the other Titan. So then you can just blitz a linebacker in between those two guys, and the only person who would be in the way would be Harris. It's a linebacker with a running start going up against a halfback, and Tennessee likes those chances. The one thing you'll see from Harris is that look at how low he's getting. I mean, there's getting low, and then there's what Harris is doing right here. I mean, he's basically at his matchup's waist at this point, but listen, it worked. I mean, as you see, he just completely took him out of the play. I mean, that's just a perfect block, what you like to see, and it's how they're able to pass and pick up the first down on a 3rd down and 7. We can all talk about those big runs, but at the end of the day, those little things matter. It's what the Patriots always say, do your job, and Harris did his job on that play, and he does his job on pretty much every play that he's in for. That's why I like him. That's why I think he'll still be a valuable asset to the Patriots offense. I don't know if he's going to get blocked a little bit just because they do have such a plethora of very talented halfbacks already. So you might not be able to see him live up to his full potential, but I still think that he has a very high potential. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.